ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन स्वयं रूपः कन्मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणं रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नमः। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्या नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते भूपेश गोपिकान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्रस्कन्धराभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणम्। So we will go to the next section, that is verses 20 to 28, which talk about Prithaktvena Bhakti. So we will start with text 20. Traividyamam suvam yajnerištva svayam prarthayante punyam sadhya surendralokam ashnanti divyan videva bhogan. Those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly, purified of sinful reactions, heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. The word Trividya refers to the three Vedas, Sama, Yajur and Rig. A Brahman who has studied these three Vedas is called as a Triveda. Much attached to the knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purport of studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal of the three Vedas. Actually, the Vedis take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in devotional service to satisfy the Lord. Devotional service begins with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and side by side trying to understand Krishna in truth. Unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifices to the different demigods like Indra and Chandra. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature and are thereby elevated to higher planetary systems or heavenly planets such as Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, etc. Once situated on those heavenly planets, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. The first point which becomes evident in this verse here that the nature of enjoyment as prescribed by the Vedas is that it is devoid of sinful reactions and it is elevating. Uplifting, but in a slow sense. Just like sense gratification is a slow poison, and gross sense gratification and gross materialism is a slow poison. A person may think he's upright. A person may think that he has some values, he's following some principles, but it doesn't last for long. It's like people, when they start their career, many times people say, no, I'll be upright, no corruption, I'll change the society, and so on and so forth. After 10 years, there is no such principles which remain. Person gets swayed off by the waves of the modern day exploitative culture. So, in that sense, materialism is a slow poison. It poisons a person. Slowly, finish. Similarly, sense gratification prescribed through the Vedas is elevating but slowly. So now the point which comes is that, okay, sense gratification is materialism problem or is sense gratification problem? Like that. Now, so in that sense, to understand this, so now if there is sense gratification through materialism, then how is it that the person is miserable, but sense gratification through Krishna consciousness or through the yoga process, then how is it elevating actually? What's the difference? Now the thing is that the nature of sense gratification remains the same. It's poisonous, so therefore it leads to misery. But now through materialism means what? That when one has a materialistic outset, when one has a materialistic mindset, then actually he is blinded. So now he will be beaten up, but he doesn't understand what's happening. And because he doesn't understand what's happening, he cannot see anything and he doesn't see any alternative. He remains in that only. That's all. So he becomes more entangled in that sense. Because he gets completely shackled. So he becomes more entangled. Now, what happens to sense gratification as prescribed in the Vedas? The nature of sense gratification is one will be miserable. But now because it is Vedic, one's consciousness is more elevated towards Sattva platform. Slowly. And because his consciousness is more elevated towards Sattva platform, so when he experiences now misery or incompleteness, then he has vision to see. And because he has vision to see, he can actually overcome the drive of this, he can actually overcome the drive of the sense gratification. That is the point. So the nature of sense gratification is the same, but because the person is adhering to the principles of Vedas, he has become attached to following the principles and the tenets of the Vedas, his consciousness is elevated. And because in this way his consciousness becomes elevated, he is able to see and overcome the drives of sense gratification. Slowly. So this is the nature of coming to the platform of Sattva. Because the point is that just like it is said, okay, have a charitable disposition. What does a charitable disposition ensure? Now, the point which comes out here is that yes, if one has a charitable disposition, just by having charitable disposition, one will slowly lose the taste for sense gratification. Now one may say, okay, this is not Krishna consciousness, so what's happening? Okay, this may not be direct Krishna consciousness, but then that itself loosens one's hold of being caught up by the material glamour. Like that. The many people in mode of goodness lead a very simple life. We see some professors here itself, they just wear a chappal and take a jhola and come, So now we may say, he's a professor, What is the problem with him, But he has no problem. He is okay with that, that way. Now people sometimes for show off what not they do, just to show the status quo. I am a professor, first class professor, senior professor, the HOD or whatever, like that. Just to show off sometimes, they may want to wear branded clothes, they may want to wear everyday different clothes, it should be pressed. And in the press also there are things that there are plates actually in the clothing. It's not sometimes all in one line. There are plates actually like that. Then that plates have to be pressed exactly, it should fall in the right place, should so that it gives a bent, like that. In the pant also there are plates, and in the shirt also there are plates at the back. It's called as a. It's like it's a plate on top of it, and that plate has to be pressed separately. So it's a very intricate process, like that. Who's going to watch all that? But then, the shoes have to be polished every day, like that. It should be shining, glistening, and all that. The hairstyle, like that. So now it's so easy to get lost into this kind of materialistic. If I see people just to to dress them, it takes them 1.5 hours. Is it not? Just to dress them and all that. No? It's so ridiculous, like that. It's so ridiculous. Marriage, in 2016 April, what a ridiculous scene, like that. And the day of the marriage, the Muhurat was 7 o'clock, everybody had to 6:30 or 7 o'clock, everybody had to reach, like that, And everybody went at 4:30 to dress. And had nothing to do in life, no. My father was doing something, he had a dress, and then we were just roaming around, like that. And everybody, they assembled only at 8 o'clock, 7:30 they assembled, like that, and the whole marriage party started because there were some proceedings, just rush it up and all that, and that procession also was a horse ride, there was a carriage ride, For when we reached, all the people, guests who were invited, 200 of them, 200, had dinner and they were just about to leave. Then will they have a gift or what, a social obligation, like that, and make sure, mark our attendance and push off, just to see, just give the gift, give the attendance, push off, like that. So by the time we reached, and by the time we, there was the time and all that, so by the time it reached, it became 10 o'clock, like that. The DJ said, okay, going, and in 10 minutes, DJ also left. From spiritual perspective, but then see the point, you have dressed so much, nobody there to watch. So you see, materialistic culture, actually, a person gets completely entangled. But the nature of this spiritual, there is a nature of can elevate a person like that. So even though he may not have developed spiritual tenets, but still, it is elevating. Just like the example is given here. There is a mention of soma here, soma rasa here. Now many times people say soma, and they drink, then many drunkards, quote, soma. No, in heavenly planets also they drink, like that. In the devas also drink and all that. No, this is a nonsense concept, So, it's like the difference between drinking blood and drinking milk, One may say, oh, both are coming from the cow. Both are coming from the cow, but there's an earth and sky of difference, is it not? Like that, So that is the point, actually. So we understand, actually, the alcohol is intoxicating, it degrades one to the mode of ignorance, actually. And one is not able to think whatever, little bit. First of all, materialistic mindset doesn't have any sense. It's nonsense, like that. But whatever little bit traces by mistake are present, like that. And alcohol actually takes that also away, like that, And a person has become mad. It's like forcibly choosing oneself to become maddened. Somebody is mad, poor fellow, because of his karma, he got some tragedy in his life, he couldn't compile it, his compiler became cold down, and there were segmentation faults inside, and now, and the whole processing goes in a different mode only, Therefore somebody is thinking he is the Prime Minister of America, and somebody is thinking he is the, whatever, like that. So that's unfortunate, somebody like that, and but this is like forcibly, artificially, willfully, one is choosing himself to become a madman, like that. Artificially, one is choosing himself to become a madman, actually. Because people, they behave in a weird way, they behave in a, after drinking. So so it takes one person to the deepest modes of ignorance, actually. Soma is not like that. Soma increases health, expands one's consciousness, and takes one towards a Sattvaguna. That's why Soma is mentioned, like that. So this is the benefit. So that is why we see that actually the Devas, you know, if you try to study the life of Devas, the Devas, they are able to enjoy, Prabhupada mentions, see, hundreds of thousand times of greater pleasure. And one of the reasons why they are able to enjoy these hundreds and thousands of times of greatest pleasure, two prominent reasons. One is their consciousness is expanded because of the habit of following the Vedas. Whatever motivations, but because of the habit of following the Vedas, their consciousness is expanded. And secondly, although that enjoyment is entangling to them, that's fine. But that enjoyment is not the kind of cheap enjoyment which we think of. And the second reason is that they remain subservient to the Lord. They never give up their loyalty and faithfulness to God. And therefore, the Lord always protects them in that sense, and the Lord always tries to help them because they are always taking shelter of the Lord. With whatever motivation, they are going to Krishna, always. So they are attached, when yajnas are performed to the demigods, we hear from Bhagavatam, the demigods are also attached for their shares of yajna, and there are a lot of fights over shares, like that. Who will get the share and all that. We hear all these aspects from Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. And we hear that actually, they're very attached to the shares and who will take the share and all those things, that way. But then, so the shares of Yajna. But now when the sacrifice is offered, they're happy that that share is offered to Vishnu. They're happy that offering is done to Vishnu as well, and then they partake of the shares. That's why the Vishnu mantra is always chanted for any demigod yajnas and all that. So they're happy about that. That yes, this is going to Vishnu, and then they partake of the shares because they are attached to the shares. But then, they're happy to acknowledge the Supreme Lord in that sense. It's not that, not even in the sense of gratification. Not that, okay, I am now enjoying, now Krishna is shut, and when my enjoyment is finished, then I'll open the door for Krishna and ask for more enjoyment. No, not exactly like that. So in this way, we see that following the Vedas is therefore elevating a person. That is why we should never behave with others who may be practicing a shallow level of spirituality in a negative way. We should never behave with them in such a way which discourages them to move forward. We may see many, show bottle, superficial, cases, even in ISKCON, even in Krishna consciousness. Yes, we try to give people knowledge, so that they can take a more proper, more better choice. They can make a more better, proper choice in their life. We are, but then we should never behave in a way so as to, so that they get completely choked up or discouraged in whatever they are doing. Because if they simply remain connected also, slowly the elevation is going to work out in their lives. That way. So our education and training should try to uplift, and our cordial behavior should try to preserve what they have. little behavior and should try to preserve what they have. Only upliftment will not work. Again, the person is wanting to go down and you're pulling him up, like that, and that doesn't work out. We need to preserve also what they have. Otherwise, an uplifting and the person lets go of the hold, like that, and then he runs in the other direction. That should not happen. At least the person is happy doing, and then we present things in a way, and then the person himself takes the step to move the next step forward. That's how things should go on, not in a fashion in which the person is disgusted with Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness as species is elevating. Whatever degree one is able to do, it will bring the greatest auspiciousness in his life. So, but then we don't have to be fanatics. We don't have to be heretics. We don't have to be stubborn. We don't have to take the brute force methodology. We don't have to take judgmental methodology, like that. Let's chastise. Let's, no, that is, that attitude may not be effective. In this age, the only attitude which should be effective is what Mahaprabhu suggests, Uttanadapi Sunichana, Taropi Sahishtana, Amanina Manavena, Kirtanya Skrata. You cannot win over people by showing opulences. You cannot win over people by showing your physical prowess. You cannot win over people by showing your charisma, renunciation, birth, so on and so forth. You can win over people by giving them respect. That's Mahaprabhu's song, so beautiful. So this aspect becomes prominently clear in the verse here. The next aspect which becomes clear is, which is highlighted here, is that do not seek for higher material happiness. Seek for higher than material happiness. What is the point in seeking for higher material happiness? Actually, the point is that material happiness has an intrinsic mistake in itself. And because that intrinsic mistake is there, that material happiness is going to lead to some trouble, some or the other trouble. Because the world is never one-sided. The greater glamorous it appears, the more misery it will bring, like that. The world is always on a neutral state, like that. So therefore, so there is an intrinsic mistake in material happiness, whether shallow, lower, cheaper, higher, whatever, like that. It's like we are attempting to solve an examination and you have made an error. Now, if you have made an error in the first step and you go on solving for 2 pages, you will waste time in solving, you will not be able to attend the other problems, and you will get a 0 by default. So now suppose, first step only you realize that you have solved, then rectification very easy, is it not? You not wasted so much time. It's not gone so deep, like that. The rectification very easy, you can come back. And even if you drop it, it's okay, you have not lost much. Like that. So now what happens is that the same analogy works here. That actually, if it is a shallow sense gratification, Very quickly one gets miserable, like that. So quickly one realizes that he is making a mistake, and either he can drop off, or he can rectify, or he can leave it and attempt some other question, whatever. But the point is that he is out of that loop quickly, and there is a chance that he may have a right hand, he may get a proper understanding and move forward. But now the nature of higher material pleasures or heavenly pleasures is what? And actually you committed a mistake in the first place only, but you don't realize it. And you have solved pages after pages after pages, and then you see that you are getting a zero finally. And one is wondering, oh, what happened? How can zero come? Yes, zero can come because there was an intrinsic mistake on the first place itself actually. That's why the zero is coming. In the first place itself there was an intrinsic mistake. So now one has wasted so much time. Now so much of time has gone. There is no time to attempt other questions. One's thought has got so much used to thinking in that way only. It's difficult to think on alternative ways of solving the problem. And that's why one gets badly stuck up. Like that. So this is the reason why this kind of celestial heavenly happiness is discouraged. And this is the reason why our planetary system gets glorified also. Okay, even if you are intoxicated, very soon you will get a tight slap. So fine, no problem. So in that sense, our planetary system gets glorified. For Kali Yuga especially, that it's very fast. Immediately you will get a slap. Is it not? That way. Like people don't study, no problem. In 2 months only they will get a tight slap. Is it not? Sometimes even before that, the professor deregisters. I know. Yes, that happens. He deregistered only, completely liberated, free to do anything and everything in life, like that. So that's why, but for the demigods, the heavenly planets actually, to get to this realization, it's not easy actually. Yes, the demigods do also realize. Sometimes they see that they are stooped in their sense gratification. All of a sudden they see the demons. And they are attacking in great style, and they are able to understand from the data analytics that these demons, they are coming with a powerful, with great third and power they are coming, and when the predictive algorithms are able to predict that this time they cannot win. So sometimes they have to flee, sometimes they fight and they are defeated, and sometimes they understand the predictive algorithm with full understanding that no use combating, better push off. So they push off, like that. So that time, again, the sense of dependence and Supreme Lord and everything becomes very prominent. But then from that time, next time is not everyday affair. From that time, next time is a very long time. The Shastras are saying, don't waste time. Therefore the Shastras is saying, don't waste time. Is it not? And that's why it's saying that, that's what the Lord is describing is that indirect way of worshipping actually. Because one is connecting to Krishna, it is helpful on one hand because it is socially elevating, but because it is socially elevating actually, one is more deeply absorbed in the sense gratification, and a lot of time will go. Like that. So in that sense, yes, the index of life will be better than a materialistic person. That's guaranteed. Then a lot of time will go. Is it not? No need to, And then the next point which Prabhupada mentions here. See, the next verse also reiterates on this aspect. Let's read the next verse. Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam Shine punye martyalokam vishanti evam tvai dharmam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. So this is the problem actually, that when they have enjoyed the vast heavenly sense pleasures and the results of pious activities are exhausted, then they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. And now because you have tasted something higher, then you get more attached to that. Is it not? The higher you go, the harder you fall. And the harder you fall actually, is it not? So, that's what is explained actually. So one who is promoted to the higher planetary systems enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment, yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earth upon finishing the resultant fruits of the pious activities. He who has not attained perfection of knowledge is indicated in the Vedanta Sutra Janmadhyasya Yataha, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life, and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planets and then coming again down, as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up, sometimes comes down. The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the cycle of birth and death, on which higher and lower planetary system, one should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this miserable material existence. Never return to this miserable material existence. So much of hard work actually to go up and to come down, to go up and to come down, to go up and to come down, like that. It is so hard. Unnecessarily one is wasting so much time, like that, Just like these days we are getting thorough realizations of visa process, like that. And the Center for Quantum Technologies gave us an invitation. And now to carry that invitation and to manifest the going, actually the visa process is creating so much of issues, like that. It is the nature of days after days are going, like that, and this is required, that is required, this is required, that is required, income statement, easiest place to go in the world, where you can get a visa, Singapore, like that. What about Europe? What about the US? Disgusting concepts actually, like that, first of all, pathetic place, it's so difficult to do money program there, like disgusting concepts, this visa process. Can you imagine if you want to go to heavenly planets? My God, life after life will get in that, is it not, You go to Singapore only so many hours and days, like that, all they are trying to give 30 days visa. Bogus in its whole setting actually, completely bogus actually. We should develop a disgust, what is this nonsense, and people are hankering to go on a world tour, let me tour and let me, it's, just go and drain all your hard-earned wealth and, consciousness and everything, like that, and get hooked there, and then they will kick you out after some time. It's the same thing, Shine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti, it's like that only, So you go there and you're flying, oh, it's Europe, it's America, ooh, and then after some days they'll say, get out. Is it not, And then you come back, and then waiting, okay, when again. It's the same thing here actually, Shine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti actually. Same thing actually. Therefore one has to aim high in life. One has to aim towards Krishna in life actually. Therefore the point is that, the next aspect which Prabhupada points out and spoke about in the previous verse, yes, if we officially take to the process in the Vedas, then we can never understand the goal, we will get lost. So that's a warning, actually, that yes, Let's not take Krishna consciousness superficial, the Balamaya of. And then what will happen? And like that. It happens. This is what happens actually. Like in our ISKCON temple, what was there? There was a management, the temple, ultimate, body for guidance and the vision and all that. So that was called as CSV. What was that CSV? Spiritual vision. The committee for spiritual vision and all that. Now you may say, okay, I'm a CSV. Oh, you're a CSV member, the senior most members. The temple, the pillars of the temple. That CSV member, like that. After some time, the whole CSV concept is dissolved. There is no CSV in our temple, like that. Now then came the concept of, what was the concept? There's so many concepts, I don't remember also, like that. Then came the concept of, so at some point of time there was a concept of VP, and so the VP is a vice president and all that. After some time now in our temple there is a concept of VP. No VP. Like that, there is a concept of temple command, proper time. Temple command there, there is no concept like a temple commander, no post only like that. You think of temple commander, then people forget that post only, then say, ये तो है नहीं डिक्शनरी में like that, Shine Punya Murtya Lokam Vishanti. There is the same concept actually. The concept of VP board, board, it's 10, like that, all, and then they named it differently. One may think that yes, I'm rocking, Murtya Lokam Vishanti. So, Krishna consciousness should be taken with great heart. Otherwise, we may get lost in the razzle-dazzle which appears on the path of Krishna consciousness. We'll stop here and continue again tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Bhagavad Gita ki jai.